What's up, everyone? Jason Gelbo here, taking a look at pitching on tonight's 10-game slate. This is probably one of the worst pitching slates that I've seen over the last few years, and we've come across some really bad ones, but I'm going to try and make some sense of it, try and find some cash game arms. Most of these guys, most slates are just GPP guys that we take a look at, but we'll try and get some guys with probably the least below potential because that's kind of what we're keying in on tonight. I don't see anyone particularly having a tremendous outing, but I think we can get some quality starts in here from some of these guys. First game we got Yankees in Baltimore. Ubaldo Jimenez versus Luis Severino in Camden Yards. Wind looks like it's blowing out. I'm not particularly thrilled with either of these right-handed guys. Jimenez going to face a couple of lefties that I particularly like Greg Bird, Gardner, Ellsbury as well, and dealing with Sanchez and Holiday. Even though Ubaldo Jimenez was decent against right-handers last year, he did struggle with lefties, so I am a little bit concerned there. And on the other side, Severino, I do think this guy has a shot at being a talented pitcher here, but probably not in this spot. We haven't really seen it yet out of him. So I'm just kind of staying away from this one. Miami, New York, Zach Wheeler versus Wei Chen. Looking at Zach Wheeler, obviously this guy, a talented prospect, a few years ago has been dealing with arm issues kind of since then. Looking at Wheeler, obviously a good matchup here against Marlins, who are bottom half offense. Wheeler, just the one thing that I want to see is basically, him get stamina back. And I think until that happens, I won't be using him. Even on a slate like this, I think the max he's going to probably go is about 6 innings. And I think it's a stretch to even say that he gets there. So as much as I like Wheeler as a pitcher, I can't really use him. Chen, on the other hand, I do have some interest here, which says a lot about the slate. But Chen, is a fly ball pitcher, does give up some home runs, which is always an issue. If he can get the infield fly rate back up to a double-digit number, around 15%, I'll be a little bit more comfortable with it. You do look at Chen, 4.14 Sierra, can miss some bats, 9.1% swinging strike rate. It's just a matter of him basically keeping the ball in the yard or not. And outside of the Mets, big hitters there, you just basically have Cespedes and Wilmer Flores that you have to worry about from the right side. None of these other guys I'm really too concerned about. And in City Field, as long as the wind's blowing in a little bit more than it was last night, I think it looks straight across at the moment. I'm okay with using Chen. Did have a couple decent outings against these guys before. You look at the Mets roster, they are 19 for 88 against him. He does have a 26% strikeout rate against these guys. So there is potential here for Chen. I don't mind him. I think he's playable in all formats tonight. Toronto and Tampa Bay, Francisco Liriano, Matt Andriese, and this one, Andriese, I don't have particularly interest in. Liriano, on the other hand, you can make a case for. Did pitch well in Toronto down the stretch last year. Did limit the walks, but we know the walks are always an issue. 11.6% walk rate. Did give up more homers than usual, 1.44 homers per 9. Still does roll a lot of ground balls, though. And you just look at kind of Liriano. First pitch strikes right at 55%. Not particularly thrilling there. Did give up a 35% hard ball rate last year. So you look at Liriano, this is just kind of one of those all or nothing plays on the slate, because you do look at the Rays, 18th in WOBA last year, 25.4% strikeout rate, though that led the majors in strikeout rate against southpaws. And we saw CC Sabathia come out. Obviously, CC Sabathia is a much more accurate pitcher and kind of pitching to contact now and kind of just pitching and rolling out and hoping he doesn't get shelled. You didn't see a lot of great hitting from the Rays in that game, so lefties might be able to still get through against this Rays team. This game's basically a pick 'em, but Rays are one of the teams with an under 4 run total tonight. Raul Alcantara and AJ Griffin, Texas and Oakland next one. Even though Oakland's still an offense that isn't particularly great, AJ Griffin does struggle with lefties. I do worry about guys like Matt Joyce, Steven Vogt, and I do like Ryan Healy and Chris Davis from the 3-4 spots. So I'm not really particularly thrilled with using either of these arms tonight. Minnesota, Chicago, Derek Holland versus Phil Hughes in Chicago. Derek Holland, no thanks. I don't want to use them. I like the Twins bats tonight against Holland. Hughes on the other side. I guess I have some interest in here just because he does have a solid track record against Chicago. Phil Hughes is still a capable pitcher, and I'm stretching that to the ultimate degree, but I do think he can go out and throw a pretty solid start tonight. Did have some home run issues, but you are looking at a Chicago team, not a ton of power. You look at this White Sox team, 23rd in mobile last year. A reasonable strikeout rate as well, near 21%. And then they did rank 23rd in ISO. So, I mean, outside of really Abreu, whose power numbers have been dropping every year, and Todd Frazier, I mean, there isn't a ton to really love for power. So I think Phil Hughes can actually have a decent outing. But I think he's more just a tournament arm tonight than anything. Kansas City, Houston, Mike Fiers versus Jason Vargas. Vargas, I don't have any interest in. Not a guy that's been great against right-handed bats, which is loaded in Houston here. I know Houston's offense really hasn't gotten off to the best start, but it's going to come here eventually. I think tonight's another night where you can chase after those bats. As far as Fiers go, not the best pitcher on the slate here, but a guy who can go out and get a 5 or 6 innings, allow maybe 2 or 3 earned runs, possibly pick up about 4 or 5 strikeouts. The Royals' offense is not good. 30th in ISO last year against right-handed pitching. Fiers is a reverse splits pitcher. Not to say that he's great against lefties, but I mean, he is going to face guys like Gordon, Moustakas, Hosmer, Brandon Moss. Outside of really Moustakas and Hosmer, none of the other guys scare me. And the right-handed batsman, Lorenzo Cain's much better against lefty pitching. Yes, Salvador Perez is a guy you can take a look at, but it's not a good lineup. So I think Fiers is in play tonight. Vegas has the Royals under 4. Houston is a -166 favorite, so do note those numbers early on in the day. Next one here, we got Chicago and Milwaukee, Jimmy Nelson versus Brett Anderson. Once again, Brett Anderson's a guy who the ground ball pitcher isn't going to do anything special. This is a guy who doesn't go tremendously deep into games, doesn't miss any bats. Did give up a 36% hard ball rate. Still too many right-handed bats for me to really feel comfortable with. I know Milwaukee's run total is just flirting right there. Anderson might be able to go out and pick up a win if he can get through 5, but it's really a stretch. I mean, even on 10-game slate, I just don't feel the need to really use Anderson. And as far as Jimmy Nelson goes, this guy has struggled with lefties. That's kind of an issue with guys like Schwarber and Rizzo and Zobrist, Chris Bryant right there in the middle. I hate the Chicago Cubs pricing tonight. I won't be using them, but I do think this offense really does pop off tonight against Nelson. And to say that, I mean, Vegas does as well. Nelson's a guy I'll never trust. Cincinnati, St. Louis, Mike Leake for Amir Garrett. Amir Garrett's not a guy that I'm looking at. Mike Leake, probably one of the most boring fantasy pitchers you'll ever find. He does struggle with lefties, but the only real lefties that he'll have to worry about is Hamilton and Votto, and maybe some Scott Schebler as well. Other than that, I mean, he's going to pitch to contact. You just got to hope that he kind of goes out there and does his usual 6 innings, 7 innings, maybe 3 earned runs or so, a strikeout or 2. I mean, that's what Mike Leake does. Cardinals are big favorites. He is at home, so I'm okay with using Leake. It's not going to be anything sexy, but on tonight's slate, he might be a guy that can get it done for you. Cleveland and Arizona, Josh Tomlin versus Shelby Miller. No, thank you. Tomlin, reverse splits pitcher. I like targeting against him. Severely home run prone in Chase Field. Shelby Miller was an absolute gas can last year. I'm not buying it against his Cleveland offense tonight that he'll resurge. He struggled tremendously with lefties. So in steps guys like Santana, Lindor, Brantley, Ramirez. I don't want a piece of them. Seattle, Los Angeles, Jesse Chavez versus Giovanni Gallardo. You kind of expect this game to be somewhat low scoring. But I don't know if there's a ton of potential for any real safety or any real upside out of these arms. I mean, Giovanni Gallardo was absolutely awful last year in Baltimore. Does get a nice park shift bump and also in that division as well. But Gallardo just might be washed for this time in his career. I mean, I know he's only 31, but you just look at him. I mean, dead last in Sierra on the slate, so it's not like he was unlucky last year. Did not miss bats at all, 6.4% swinging strike rate. Home runs were an issue, 1.22 home runs per 9. I'm staying away from Gallardo even against an average offense in LA. Jesse Chavez on the other side. we've seen this guy come out and be decent at times before, and Seattle's offense has been scuffling to start the year. But once again, this is still not a particularly good right-handed arm. This is still a very good Seattle offense that's going to start coming around very soon. Chavez is a guy that I'm staying away from. So if you're looking for a little bit of safety, I mean, Mike Leake is in play. I don't mind Wayne Chin as well. If you feel comfortable using Zach Wheeler, I'm okay with it too. It's not that the price tag is that bad either. And you're looking at like an Liriano and Hughes as your GPP guys, fires as well. So that's kind of what we're dealing with tonight. Good luck. Survive the blow-ups. We should do okay. So head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com. Check out our great tools and content.